What's good, YouTube? I know in a previous week or so we did a top 10 underrated deck tech ideas, and it got a pretty good review. Got quite a few comments and likes, and so we figured since you guys liked it so much, we'll do a part 2. There's actually plenty of other cards that can be teched into a deck. Just got to be willing to be risque and actually try them. So once again, here's another one of our top 10 picks.
We're going to get started with Nightbeam. Nightbeam is a spell card. It's a normal spell, and you target a spell or trap card on the field that's set, and it's destroyed. Your opponent can't activate it in response to Nightbeam. So this card actually has a few applications. I would still recommend running MST in anything that you make, but if you run Nightbeam additionally, you can get rid of some threats like the Bisphere.
Right.
Bisphere can't be chained. They can't actually chain an MST if you target their set MST with it, so you know.
That's true.
You can like hit someone's MST, you can hit someone's Compulse.
And a lot of days people don't play a lot of chainable cards anyway, so you're bound to hit something that's really useful. You get a warning, a Black Horn Head, and something like that. A Phoenix Chain that's just probably gonna be in the way. Prohibition. Prohibition is one of those cards that back in the day got quite a lot of use, and then it just kind of died out because there were always other cards that seemed better that were more specific to a type or overall or more broad. But Prohibition, even in this day and age, is really good because most decks that are top of these days are archetype decks. So pretty much if you know what your opponent's playing, you can shut down the entire deck. They pretty much have to waste an MSC or some kind of back row hate to get rid of that card. And everybody's gonna say good players can play around it. But let's be honest, some decks they kind of got to have those key cards.
Yeah, if you hit like something like a Yamato and Bujins, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
The next card is Neo-Spacian Grand Mole, kind of a classic. Everybody used to love this card. Now it's kind of fallen out of popularity, but I don't really see why. This is a one card out to so many Xyzs and other monsters that just resist being targeted or being destroyed, things like that. You can just bounce Beals.
Yeah.
Beals is a problem, bounce it. You can bounce Draco Sack. You can bounce, there's so many things, you know, say this card can't be destroyed in battle, or this card, you know, can't be destroyed by card effect.
I personally run Grand Moles in just about everything I play. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I do mean that I main him in just about everything. He's a freebie. He's an optional canister that doesn't destroy. He's just on the opposite end. He bounces. It stops boosters from going to damage calculations. So Crane means nothing. Next card that I'm gonna pick is Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo. Fossil Dyna is one of those cards that when it first came out, it got a lot of hype. I mean, the card shot up in price tremendously. Then it just kind of died out. But then as the recent formats have shown us, a good card that can stop a special summon just wreaks a lot of havoc. And of course, you know, we have Vanity's Emptiness, but Vanity's Emptiness is one of those cards that you can easily outplay your opponent around. Like, just give up another card, Vanity's Emptiness just has to die with it, just so it's kamikaze. But Fossil Dyna is just kind of one of those cards that's kind of like Banish of the Raid. It's kind of one of those cards. It's a monster effect that is devastating to the game. Pretty much, you have to deal with this monster before you can continue with anything else extra that you try to do.
It's on legs, and so it has to either be swung over by something that you normal summon. And some decks can't normal summon something that you can get over this, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like things like, you know, Tour Guide when it can't use its effect, and like the Dragon Roller decks, and like Crane.
Yeah, he's even more devastating if you set him, because if he gets flipped face up, he destroys all spell summon monsters on the field. So he's really a good surprise factor for your opponents as well. So like I said, he's not great on stats, but his effect just makes him a game changer automatically.
So the next card is something that's kind of special and fun. Metaion the Time Lord, or as Terrell says,
Metaion.
Metaion. Metaion the Time Lord.
Metaion.
So this card, I don't remember the precise text on hand, but I'm gonna put it on the screen. Basically, you can summon it. It can't be destroyed by battle. You don't take any battle damage. Yeah, it can't be destroyed by battle and card effect. You don't take damage. And basically, after the battle phase, when it attacked or was attacked, you bounce all cards in the field, or monsters, right?
All monsters on the field.
All monsters in the field to the hand, and your opponent takes 300 damage for each. Then in your next standby phase, Metaion gets shuffled back into your deck. This is a great out to exceed fields.
Yeah.
Just
Draco Sack.
When they've got 2 or 3 Xyzs or Synchros, you just get rid of issues, and even things like Beals. I mean, this doesn't like target or anything. It just gets rid of threats.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a table turner type of card. You know, if you top deck it in a sort of bad situation, you can drop it, kind of reset button type of thing.
Right. And it's field wide, which is really good because, you know, usually the only thing for field wide cards and stuff like Morphin Draw number 2, which got banned. So you kind of need something that's more field wide, especially if your opponent gets a drop on the spam. So, and of course it's like level 10. It can be normal summon without tribute. So it's just like one of those cards that's really, really good. Like, they have to waste like a Veiler or a Phoenix Chain or something on that just to get around it. And even if they Veiler it, it's still live during your opponent's turn. So it's still a problem for them to have to get around it.
So it protects you afterward.
Yeah. So it's really good.
Good business.
Good business. Next card that we are going to choose, or I guess that I'm going to choose, is Non-Aggression Area. For those of you who don't know, Non-Aggression Area pretty much just says it's a trap card that you have to activate during your own standby phase, where you discard a card, and on the following turn, your opponent cannot normal, flip, or special summon monsters. Which pretty much means that they do not have any advantage already, or a way to stop that card as well, then they pretty much screwed for a turn. They can do all the setup that they want on the next turn. They can't place another monster on the field.
I'd kind of like call it like a watered down sort of time seal type of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Where, I mean, your opponent's basically not really getting a turn. And if you're playing a deck that's even somewhat explosive or even just really controlling, and you get an established field that they have to like use monsters to get over, and they can't, and it's just back to your turn, then that means you can very easily win that duel just like that.
Basically.
And it's an older card, but it's like a common.
It's
so
a common,
you can
and
pick up copies.
It's really good against like a lot of like spammy monster decks, like dragons or mermaids, things like that, where they pretty much need their monsters as the basis of their deck completely. You play that, I mean, unless they have like an Abyss Sphere, then there's really not much the deck can do. So
the next cards are I would just sort of call them the Forbidden Trio, and I guess we're getting a new one soon too. But basically, Forbidden, Dress, Chalice, and Lance. I guess you couldn't say these are underrated. I mean, like, Lance gets played a lot, but Dress and Chalice don't get all that much attention. Chalice is the one that raises a monster's attack by 400 but negates its effects. Dress is the one that stops a monster from being targeted or destroyed and it loses 600 attack. And you all know what Lance does. These are good tech cards. Any of these three cards are great techs. You can put them in decks and they can work. They can protect your monsters, they can stop your opponent's monsters. My favorite thing about the Forbidden Trio is that they're all just dual purpose. All of the Forbidden Trio you can use against your stuff or their stuff.
Right.
And so that alone makes it, them really good. Just try them out in some of your decks. Like, try out a deck, and when you have like 2 spots left, just put in 2 Dresses, or 2 Chalices, or 2 Lances.
Next card we are going to choose is actually one of my personal favorites, Pot of Dichotomy. The card got a lot of hype at first, and it kind of died out again, but that's how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, it's always hype. But a Pot of Dichotomy is one of those cards, pretty much, if you have 3 different types in the graveyard, you shuffle those types into the graveyard, or one of each of those types into the graveyard, and you draw 2 cards. And you cannot conduct your battle phase for the turn. But that doesn't really hurt you. I mean, there's like a lot of decks that can utilize this. I know personally, I made a Constellar deck, their main 2 Pot of Dichotomies. And I had like infinite play these because I don't have to attack if I'm setting up with play these and like a Kaiser or some other little random stuff. So like that card's really good. I know
loads of decks actually. Like, it's kind of a cool card because like decks like Bujins can't really always use it. I mean, they can, but they don't really want to.
Yeah.
And decks like Fire Fist can't really use it. But a lot of lower tier decks can. Windups can use it. Everything's like different types.
Spirit. I know Jeff Jones used it in his
Spirits can use it.
Spirit deck, whatever.
A lot of the non-top tier decks can make great use of this card, and you know, like Soul Charge, you can attack that turn, but imagine if you use both of these in one turn. That'd be a lot of fun. My next card is Enemy Controller. This is just an older spell, and you all know what it does. You either change a monster's battle position, or you contribute one of your monsters to take control of an opponent's card. It's quick play. This card is just super versatile. I've seen so many games get changed by like an enemy controller at an unexpected time. When you swing into something and like you swing in for damage and then they drop a Gorz or a Trag and you use your enemy controller, tribute off your monster, take the Gorz or the Trag and swing for game with that. Because you know, they're big. Or using enemy controller to get your effects off. If like I drop a XX Saber Hyunlei, I always quote X Sabers in these videos, my favorite deck. Like I drop a Hyunlei and I'm popping 3 spells and traps and you activate Valor and I just use Econ, tribute off my Hyunlei, take your monster, the spells still get popped. That kind of thing. Econ has a lot of purposes. In fact, the other day at Locals, I even saw somebody use an enemy controller to switch a Beals to attack position so that a Silent Honor Arc could take it. And I was just like, wow, like this card really, I mean, Econ's pretty good. It was in Evols, and he attributed it like a
J show or whatever.
Yeah, and a Josh show or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, that's just rape already. Yeah.
It's really crazy.
And of course, I know how good it is in Frog Marks.
Yeah.
That's not like, it's just a really good card. It's a really good surprising card. And I also remember, I just got to say this, my homeboy Anthony Vo, he actually won the top 16 match with enemy control. He was playing Dino Rabbits, and he made one Econ, and his opponent was sitting on a Tricky. Not the Tricky, but the Fool. Arcana Force the Fool in defense, and it can't be destroyed by battle. And so he pretty much ripped into an Econ, played it on the Fool, attacked it, pretty much they lost 2,300, and he pretty much won his top 16 match. So I just feel like enemy control is one of those cards that kind of goes down as a milestone, as a monumental thing for good players. The next card we're going to talk about as far as our text is Spirit Reaper. Spirit Reaper was one of those cards when it came out, it was a bitch to deal with. It did not die, would not die. You had to waste a target on it or something that targeted to kill it or whatever, and you don't want to have to waste it. But pretty much, and it kind of died out from that point. But that's actually one of those cards where, like, a lot of times, like especially if you're playing against decks that are more aggressive, they're trying to go for the attack. They're trying to just go. They're going to beat up your monster and just continue through the game. Pretty much, you just kind of sit him out there as a wall. So pretty much, unless they have like an exceed or some way to actually target him, he's not going anywhere. And go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, in this format of like soul charges and people just trying to like kill you as fast as possible and using wiretap if you've got a mirror force or torrential, no wiretap, you know. So like you can't rely on those. Spirit Reaper is really good, just something so you can survive, and they have to deal with it in main phase 2. They usually can't deal with it in battle phase.
Yeah, especially if you set it and you just kind of surprise them. They pretty much just lost their whole battle phase unless they have something that they can activate in battle phase. But there's not much that they can unless they're going to waste a finish chain on it or that one compulse that they probably have already used anyway. So. And
time is precious in Yu-Gi-Oh! Whenever you're getting yourself another turn to play,
that's all it takes.
I mean, yeah, that really is all it takes for like a comeback or something. And it's level 3. Crane, all the other shit.
All day. Last but not least,
we've got Liberty at Last. This is a trap card that came out and they just, I don't know what happened, just went under the radar or something.
No, you know, he died and came up and he died again. Just fucking disappeared.
So, you know what the card does.
Pretty much, whenever a monster of yours is destroyed by battle, you target 2 monsters on the field and shuffle them back into the deck.
This is a really cool effect. This doesn't destroy the cards, so you don't have to worry about something like Stardust or Maestro and all the shit that can't die.
Yeah.
It doesn't even send them to the grave, so stuff that you wouldn't want in your opponent's grave, you know, a lot of stuff you'd rather it not be there.
Ever.
You can use Liberty at Last and send stuff back into the deck, and people always underestimate how like painful sometimes sending a card back into your opponent's deck can be. People don't really want cards back in their deck. They don't want to have to waste another search card to get it. They don't want, you know, everyone's focusing on deck thinning, not, you know, the other way around. It's not a particularly hard card to use.
Not these days.
I mean, you know, your monsters are gonna get destroyed in battle most of the time. Like I wouldn't say that's like an uncommon thing. So it's a cool tech.
It's good against swarm decks. It's one of those things with swarm decks, especially because most swarm decks usually take a lot to get all the monsters out anyway. So if they're gonna do that and they're coming in swinging, let your monster die, bounce 2 of theirs back, you pretty much put them at a disadvantage all over again. So.
Yeah, get rid of Exceeds and stop an OTK. It's just good card, good business.
It's a momentum shifter.
It really is. So those are 10 additional underrated tech cards. You guys liked the last video, so hopefully you enjoyed this one as well. Try some of these cards out in the new decks that you build and tell us how they work. Also, in the comments, feel free to leave other underrated tech cards. We'll be reading and responding to some of your ideas and probably feature them in hopefully, in another video. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more great Yu-Gi-Oh videos. We'll catch you guys later.
Love and peace.
When I did that, that wasn't cool.
Yeah, but
how come you can do that?
If you guys can tell me what show that comes from, then you know.
Yeah. Goodies for whoever gets that.
He doesn't even know.
I don't know.
Exactly. So
I won't even know when it gets guessed. It's 10. It's 10. No, I didn't turn this around either. Turn around. What's all shit? This is fun.